Herzlich willkommen zurück beim Podcast Under the Refluenced. Heute sind wir wieder hier im Studio und zwar am Samstag während den Ostern. Eigentlich Zeit zum Freinehmen, aber wir sind addicted und machen die Folge trotzdem. Und zwar haben wir heute einen spannenden Gast dabei. Vielleicht die sich für englischen Mental Health Content interessieren oder einen Podcast von Bern anhören. Kennen Sie vielleicht schon? Herzlich willkommen, Sreya.
Thank you for having me.
Genau, vergessen. Die Folge ist auf Englisch. Genau, wurde vom Gast so gewünscht. Yeah, yes. Before we start with the podcast, we would like to get to know you a little bit better. So you have 15 seconds to introduce yourself, and after those 15 seconds, I will stop you.
Okay, sounds good. My name is Sreya. I'm 20 years old. I am from the city of Bern, which is the capital of Switzerland. Originally from South India, maybe you can tell. And what else? I love Christmas, random fact. And
stop.
Okay.
But nice finish. I love Christmas. I love Christmas too, but also because of 2 days prior is my birthday.
Okay.
So yeah.
No, I'm like a Christmas addict. I love Christmas and the whole mood. So yeah.
So you make a lot of gifts then?
Oh yes, I do.
So you save the whole year to then buy presents for everyone?
It's usually my November and December salary. And the worst thing about it is that my birthday's in November. So I have to make sure that I save up for my birthday party and then everything else is for Christmas. And then in New Year, I'm basically broke.
Yeah, but mostly you get on your birthday, you get money. So you have even more money.
It depends.
Depends, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, funny fact.
Yeah.
So to stay in the whole funny bubble, I will tell you, or I will ask you a spicy questions. My boss always wants that I ask a spicy question. So are you ready?
Yes.
Would you rather publish your chat history with your best friend or send your boss a picture of you in underwear?
I would probably leak my best friend's chat, like our chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing special going in there, or?
No, I think it would just show another side of us, like the side that people don't see, like the childish side of us.
Okay, fair.
But like nothing
Nothing
important.
criminal or so.
No, you would probably be like, what the heck are they doing? Like that's the most random thing. You would find like the most random things.
Thanks for your answer. And now we will start with the first part of today. So I'm not the only podcast moderator here. You are also, like I said. What is your podcast about?
So our podcast, funny enough, it's called Let's Talk Life. We chose an English name because it sounded better. And our podcast is about student life, our work, mental health, self-care, just like things that young people go through, whether they're in their teenage years or in their early 20s, mid-20s, late 20s. I feel like things that you don't really see on social media because social media often is represented with the good and the positive and not like real life and situations where you could be. And if you see something on social media, you're like, oh, but my life doesn't look like that. And you start comparing yourself, and we want to keep it real and just, be authentic and share our stories and, just tell the world that life can be messy sometimes and chaotic and that it's not always perfect like you see in social media. So, that's what we talk about.
And with you mean you do the podcast with
Yes, I do it with my friend Shoana. It was her idea to start this podcast. So, she asked me and I said yes because I wanted to start my own podcast. It would have been in English and then I just never got around. And I was like, you know what, I'm in. And it's been fun. We only started this year, but I feel like it's going well. Yeah.
By the way, Chana is here in 2 weeks, so if you're interested in other view on the podcast, stay tuned. But now back to you.
Yes.
So you also talk about mental health then?
Yes, we do.
And what is mental health the main topic, or?
I would say that we always come back to mental health in some way or another, because I feel like, especially in like our daily life, we sometimes forget to take care of ourselves, and a lot of it goes under like self-care, and self-care, at least to me, goes under mental health to like a certain extent. So yes, we always try to talk about mental health without it being too professional, because I didn't study psychology, Joanna didn't study psychology. We just really love to share our own story, and I guess like also raise awareness, saying that mental health is normal and that it's okay to talk about it, and that you don't have to be afraid to talk about it, because sometimes, very often, like in my culture, for example, it's still like a taboo thing. You don't talk about mental health in India. You like, people will like not believe you.
Okay, that was a surprise for me.
Yeah, like even like my parents, they're fine with it.
Yeah.
But if I would go and tell like my cousins, to them that's like, okay, and like they wouldn't even like really take it in a serious way. You don't talk about mental health in India, like not in a way that you're supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think like also for me, coming from a different culture, it's like giving insights between me growing up here, but also like living with the Indian culture at home, and, you know, like sharing the perspective as well, and that it's hard living between two cultures in the same household.
Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, back to the podcast. A podcast is a lot of work.
Yes.
You know it, I know it.
Yes, it is.
And you are two people. How do you divide your work?
So I'm in charge for the technical part.
Yeah.
So recording, editing, and then uploading the podcast. Also because I did a technical job, so I'm a bit more into it already and know the technical part a bit better. And then Shawana is in charge for the content, so she basically writes our scripts, the questions, prepares everything that has to do with like social media, so prepares our posts and the text that goes with it. Yeah, I think that's how we do it right now, and I feel like it might just stay like that because it works out pretty well in the moment. Sometimes it's also like a thing where we're like, let's just do everything together, and we just like sit together and figure out what we can do. But if like the last 3, at least, it was like sure that I was gonna like do the editing part and the recording, and she would always do like the social media and content stuff. So
I think we talked a lot about the podcast, and we will definitely hear in 2 weeks a bit more about the podcast.
From
Maybe
Shauna's side, yeah.
Also about the how you choose the topics and everything. But I think we going forward to the interactive part, and we, since it's Easter, we did hide a bunny, Easter bunny, somewhere in this office.
Okay.
And you have to find it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So if you don't find it in 1 or 2 minutes, we will start to give you hints about cold or hot.
How big is it?
It's it's a basket.
Okay, it's a basket. Okay. Can I start now?
Yes. So yeah, you found it very quickly.
Yes.
And yeah, some goodies that you made
Thank
the
you.
way here on Easter's.
Thank you very much.
And I think we will start on the second part.
Yep.
And that is your content.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, your content is mainly about mental health.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So, and how do you create your content, and how do you go about such a complex topic?
Well, as I said before, I did not study psychology, so everything that I do post about is either things that I've learned in therapy or things that I've read about in books or from other podcasts from psychologists that have studied psychology. And I usually try to mix it with my own story and my experiences, because I often feel like if you just like state facts, then it's just a fact. And if you share a story, then it feels more real. And if you've gone through something similar, it feels like you can, you're not going alone through it. And that there are other people out there. So I feel like also talking about mental health can be difficult because there are many things, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are the mental diseases that you have, like depression and like ADHD and stuff. And I started off talking about my anxiety and my panic attacks. That was a huge part of my life for a very long time. It started in high school and ended maybe in my second year of my apprenticeship. And I think that was the thing that like kind of kicked me off into mental health. Also because at that point, or just like in general on social media, I didn't really see anyone talk about mental health in an open way or in a way that is not disgraceful or where they're like, oh, mental health is bad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Either it's like you get hate about mental health or they tell you that you're weak and that you don't belong here, or then there's the side where you can tell, hey, it's okay if you struggle with your mental health because it's very human and everyone goes through something in their life that has to do with mental health. So yeah, a lot of it is pretty much from like my own life and my experience, and I try to make sure to not overshare because there are things that are very sensitive. A lot of things that have traumatized me, and I make sure that I set boundaries there to tell, okay, I can give you like an amount of context that feels comfortable to me without me putting myself out there in a situation that could maybe hurt me back in the future. So that's definitely hard. Talking about mental health is hard on social media.
Yeah, but it's great that you set your self-boundaries.
Yeah.
And does it help yourself that you can share your stories online?
Yes, it does. I think because, again, in our culture, mental health is not a thing that you talk about. And also growing up, I didn't really have people around me that talked about mental health either. Like even here at school, you did not talk about mental health. Even now, like, okay, I think now it's a bit better. But when I was in high school, when I had my anxiety attacks, no one really knew what I was going through or how they could help me. And to me, I feel like sharing my story and then getting feedback, it kind of like gives me the reassurance that I'm doing something good, that it's helping people. And that, you know, social media is a platform where I have a purpose to share something. And I feel like my purpose is, to share my story that is quite unique in very different ways. And yeah, I think sometimes it just helps me when I like doubt myself or ask myself, what am I even doing with life? Like, what should I do right now? Or what's the next thing? Or like, did my life even make a difference in someone else's life? You know, like the very deep questions that you ask yourself. I'm like, okay, wait, I think it did encourage someone, or it did help someone to take that step and then go into therapy themselves and like get the help that they need. So yeah, it does help me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And does it also, or do you receive reactions to your content? Or
I do. I do. Sometimes very deep answers, to the point where I'm like, I feel honored, and it's such a privilege to hear someone else's story that they've never really told anyone else. And I've had guys text me as well, which I think, and those are people that I went to school with. Like, that's the other thing. Like, those are people that I knew in real life, that I knew for like, or that I went to school for like 4 or 5 years. And they would text me and say, hey, like, you talking about it openly is such an encouragement, and it like shows off strength. And they would usually say that they got help themselves, you know, that they started going to therapy, or that they talked about it with someone, or just like thinking about mental health, or if they also come from a culture that's very similar to mine, talking to their parents about it, you know, telling them, hey, I'm not doing okay, like, can we talk about things? And sometimes when I listen to people's stories, I'm like, I feel like I don't deserve to like hear those stories, because like, who am I? I'm just like a random person posting stuff about mental health on social media. Like, I don't know how I can help them, but me just sharing my story, that's the help that they need, even if I didn't study psychology, whatever. So yeah, I do get messages, quite a few, and I take the time to get back to them as well. Sometimes we end up in like real deep conversations that can like go over days, where we just like talk. I've had like a few girls and we just like texted for days, because it was like so much that they went through, and they were like, and like the younger followers that follow me, they're like, hey, you're like the bigger sister that I never had, but like you're here and like you're sharing your story, and it helps me to like step up and like take that step, and like that step of courage to do something themselves, which I think is beautiful. So yeah, I am glad to get those responses. I don't think that I've ever received like negative messages or like hate about it. Maybe like in the beginning, like, I don't know, people that were perhaps jealous, I don't know, they're like, oh, you're just doing it to get attention. I'm like, I would never do this to just get attention. Like, I could do different things to get attention, and that's not my purpose behind social media. Like, I don't want to be getting attention for the wrong reasons, and this is definitely one that is not for that, because it's so sensitive. Mental health is so sensitive, and you have to be careful with what you share and how you share it. So yeah,
it's getting deep.
Yeah. I could talk about it for hours and hours.
I believe you. But yeah, it's also so since we are here on the podcast from Refluence, did Refluence help you in any way to create your account? And
yes. Yeah, because my account was private for a very long time. I think I started my Instagram account, or I just like created an account in 2015. So I was in like middle school.
Yeah.
So I'll be hitting 10 years next year. And my account was private for a very, very long time. And I think for one of the collabs that I wanted to do with Refluenced, it had to be public. So I think that was like one of the things that kind of like pushed me out of my comfort zone to go public. And I made my account public in December of 2022.
And since then you're public.
Exactly.
And do you have some favorite corporations, or?
I've only done 3 so far with Refluenced, but the one that I've liked the most so far, it was a reel that I was able to create, was for oh my gosh, it's in French. Valai, the water brand. Yeah. Is that how you pronounce it? I have no idea. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, that was a really cool collab.
Yeah.
It was like also, I think like spring or summertime. So That was really fun. Yeah. I think I like creating reels more than posts, to be honest. So, yeah, that must be my favorite one.
We're glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Really, and thank you for being on the platform.
Yeah,
really.
thanks for creating it.
You don't have to thank me. You have to thank the founders.
Yeah.
But I will tell them.
You can let them know.
I will let them know, yes. So from me, we can slowly come to an end. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, I was wondering if you have a lot of English-speaking content creators on like your platform or people that work with you.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're making your content in English. So we at least have one. No, we have others. Yeah, there are not so many as German, but we have a few. Also, the one we talk next week with is in English, makes content in English. So yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, we have,
Okay, yeah.
Yes, and why do you make your content in English?
Well, English is one of my 2 mother languages, so I feel most comfortable in English because the other mother language is an Indian language that is only spoken in South India, so yeah, wouldn't really help me that much. I would also say a lot of my friends are not from here, so they only speak English. Both of my best friends, they're not from here, so to make sure that I can stay in touch with them over social media, English, but also, I guess, being from outside of Switzerland, from a country where they don't speak German or where some even don't speak English, that's one thing, and also because it's an international language.
Yeah, so
I would say that.
When you make your content in English, you have, on the long time, you have more potential. Yeah,
I also feel like the potential and the possibilities that could come to you are much bigger. But I didn't think about this when I started my account. Like, it kind of just evolved, as I grew up, and I kind of found this passion for social media and creating content. So it was never my intention to just stick with English. I do have when it comes to stuff about our podcast, and if I repost it, then it's obviously in German, Swiss German, but otherwise it's mainly English.
Yes, I think that's all from my side, and thanks you for your inputs at the ending, and also for the very detailed talk we had. And many thanks that you made your way here on Easter.
Thanks for having me. It was
you're welcome.
Different from our usual podcast, so having a different view and a change of topic and setup is fun.
Yes, definitely. So really many thanks, and
thank you too.
See ya.
Ja.
So, das war jetzt auf jeden Fall wieder eine spannende Folge. Sie ist etwas deep geraten. Sie bleibt sicherlich auch noch in meinem Kopf für eine Weile. Nächste Woche geht es dann aber weiter mit mehr Fashion-Content und auch wieder in Englisch. Also stay tuned und bis dann bleibt gesund und stay under the Refluence.